Let's talk about the ending of The Monkey. This is the latest film from Osgood Perkins, who did Longlegs last year, of course, which I was very much so in tune with. I did a ton of videos on that movie. I don't know if we'll go that crazy with The Monkey. I feel The Monkey's more straightforward. This is more me just talking about the film, letting you know how I feel, what happened in it, the ending, and all of that. If this is not the video for you, it's just not the video for you. If you want to know why people look up Ending Explains, I can't explain that to you, or can I? Maybe we'll do a video about that. But we're just here to talk about the film and just go through it. So let's get into it. This is The Monkey starring Theo James. You also have Convery, Tatiana, Maslany, and a bunch of other people in here. And of course, Corey fucking Cunningham's in this movie. But let's get into The Monkey. So of course, The Monkey is based on a 1980 short story by Stephen King. Side note, apparently they couldn't use the same monkey from that story because somebody else owns the rights to it, which I thought was interesting. But this is a movie about a monkey who is targeting these twin brothers, and this monkey just causes random horrific deaths. Like whoever's in its way, it's gonna get. The film starts off in 1999 where we see pilot P.D. Shelburne, who is played by none other than Mr. Severance himself, Adam Scott, coming to an antique shop to tell them, I want this monkey gone. I don't want this monkey anymore. He has disappeared, leaving his wife, and also stopped raising his identical twin sons because this monkey, according to him, causes nothing but death. We see that the monkey eventually does show up, and it showcases that, yeah, this monkey does cause death as it kills the antique shop owner, and we try to see that P.D. Shelburne tries to kill the monkey, and of course it's not able to. But we eventually see that the boys discover the monkey again in their father's thing and turn the key. Later the boys go to dinner with a babysitter named Annie, and we see that the monkey causes the decapitation of their babysitter Annie. Eventually we see that Bill is kind of an asshole to Hal, and he is bullying him, making people at school bully him as well. This causes Hal to turn the monkey's key again, hoping that the monkey will kill Bill. However, what happens is Lois is the one that ends up dying. Lois is the mother of the children, played by Tatiana Maslany, and she dies horrifically in front of Bill. We see that Hal tries to destroy the monkey with a cleaver, and him and his brother have to go now to live with their Aunt Ida and Uncle Chip. The monkey then eventually comes back into their lives because the monkey's always going to be following them around, right? Bill now feels that the monkey might actually have some power, and what he does is he turns the key, even though Hal tells him not to, please, to test it out. We eventually see that Uncle Chip is trampled on a hunting trip, and Uncle Chip was played by Osgood Perkins. Very funny bit, I will add. The boys now realize the monkey is not able to be destroyed, so they lock it in a box and throw it down a well, hoping it will be hidden forever. So the monkey pretty much, to me, in my opinion, is a force of nature, right? You can't destroy it. The monkey itself is just the vessel, but the whole presence and essence of it is always around. So you can destroy it physically, but it'll just keep reappearing, which I think is a very interesting way to sort of personify death, right? Osgood did say this before the release of the monkey, that he saw death as something almost like a monkey on everyone's back. It's there whether you like it or not, and it's just there. And as the tagline says, everybody dies, and that's fucked up. So let's get into it. So 25 years later pass, and Hal is now estranged from his brother and also his son, who he named Petey after his dad. So he only sees him once a year out of fear of passing on the bad luck of the monkey onto him. So he's just living in this bubble in his own world. He doesn't care what happens to himself, but he wants his son to be safe. But of course, this just looks bad for his son, who doesn't understand all of this, doesn't even know about the monkey, and as we later found out in the movie, doesn't even know Hal has a brother. So Hal then learns from his ex-wife and her new husband, Ted Hammerman, who is played by Elijah Wood. Very comedic. Honestly, love that whole part, especially the arm wrestling aspect he wanted to do, that they are planning to fully adopt Petey and that Hal can be cut out of his son's life. So this last trip that Hal and Petey are taking is probably going to be the last one that they can take. Eventually tries to come clean to Petey about his life, but frustratingly, he just decides to be closed off from him. And Petey says he knows about the adoption and all that, and he can't believe his dad would still be like this. What we see next is Aunt Ida, who is now still residing at her house by herself, is then killed by the monkey that has now escaped the well, and everything is triggered once again. Ricky, played by Rohan Campbell, who is the son of a local police officer, then finds the monkey at the estate sale for Aunt Ida and grows an attachment to it, as he says it reminds him of his absent father as well. Bill then calls Hal all these years later out of the blue and demands he drive to Ida's to settle her estate and find the monkey. First, Hal thinks that Bill is crazy. What is he talking about with the monkey and everything? But then he realizes the monkey is activated as a woman is electrocuted in the motel pool that he's at. And then we see as him and his son travel to Ida's house, where Hal is just trying to get this monkey out of his life forever, and Petey learns the truth about Bill's existence, and we also see that Hal witnesses as multiple people have died in apparent strange accidents throughout the town in the past week following the death of Aunt Ida. The real estate agent that was in charge of Aunt Ida's house as well is killed right in front of Hal when a shotgun falls out of a closet and fires itself onto her, leaving a bloody mess. Of course, we've seen that in the trailer numerous times, and I really did love the monkey, how it's so absurd, so dark, so comedic, and you really think about it and it's just so morbid at its core, right? And that, I think, was a very interesting balance that Osgood tries to do throughout the film. It didn't really work for me in a lot of scenes, but I still think it's really great that he's trying to sort of push the genres and the blending of it a little bit further. So Hal learns that Bill now owns the monkey, and he actually hired Ricky to collect it for him. And so Hal can't even process why Bill would do this. We quickly find out that Bill blames Hal for their mother's death and is seeking revenge, spending years worshipping the monkey in hopes it would return to him. And Bill has also deduced that whoever turns the key is immune to the monkey's power, but that he cannot directly choose who the monkey will kill. Thus, we saw years ago that Hal wanted the monkey to kill Bill, but it eventually ended up killing just his mother. So the monkey's gonna do what the monkey wants to do. So the townspeople's deaths have been caused by him trying to repeatedly cause Hal's death, but of course that has not worked. So Hal sees Bill as an insane person that's willing to kill multiple people that he doesn't even know in an effort to have Hal just die. Bill then demands that Hal bring Petey so he can turn the key instead. Hal, of course, refuses to do so because he's not going to put Petey in danger or any of that. Ricky then shows up with a gun, and he's disguised as a police officer, kidnapping both Hal and Petey, forcing Petey to enter the booby-trapped house that Bill has in order to take the monkey back, because Ricky had gone back to Bill's house wanting the monkey because he says it reminds him of his father, and he just wants to reminiscence again about his father. We then see as Petey's able to get to Bill after avoiding a bunch of like Scooby-Doo cartoon traps, which I thought was one of the most hilarious parts of the film, and he sees his uncle for the first time, who tricks him into turning the key. I don't understand how that happened because Hal just told him, do not turn any key. Ricky then is killed by a swarm of wasps after Petey turns the key, and we see as Hal goes to find his son. Once Hal enters the room, we see that Bill tries to force the monkey to drum without turning the key. The monkey then retaliates by drumming repeatedly, which I thought was a funny, hilarious bit when we saw Theo, James, and the monkey just fighting, and then out of nowhere, because of all of this drumming it's done, it's causing all of this destruction. Even an airplane crashes and a bunch of people just die in the town because of this, but Hal is still alive. So Bill and Hal finally have a bit of a reconciliation after the death of their mother, and they apologize for everything that's happened. But the monkey has one last drum beat, and then it kills Bill with one of his own booby traps. We then see that the pair at an intersection see Death on a horse. And of course, they talked about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, of course, Death being one of them. And this is sort of a reminder to Hal and Petey that Death is always around. We then see Hal just decides in that moment that, why don't I just bond with my son instead of worrying about the future or the what ifs and all of that? Let's just go dancing, which is something that his mother loved to do, as well as we saw at the beginning of the film. As they depart, a cheer squad sticking their heads out of the windows of their school bus are all decapitated by a passing truck, and the film just ends right there. So I thought that this was such a great film that really sort of pokes fun at our fears and uncertainties of the future, especially revolving around life and death and all of that. And the monkey was just something that they couldn't get rid of. And the monkey, I think, represents those fears and those uncertainties about death, and really just something that was holding all of them back, because Bill was sort of so revenge filled. He just wanted to get back at his brother for what happened and blaming him for this random act that happened to their mother. And all of this resentment, all of this hate Bill had acquired throughout the years just kept him cooped up and sort of isolated from the world, from truly living. And then you have Hal, who was scared of death, who didn't want to talk about it or even confront it, just basically isolated everybody else around him because he didn't want to sort of be the cause of their death or be close to them because of death and all of that. And I think that it showcases just how two people can really be overcome by their grief and presented in very different manners. I may be looking really deep into this movie, but that's just what I got from it. And I thought it was brilliantly portrayed, and the absurdity and the comedic aspects of this horror film are what really heighten it to another level, because I think the film really strives when it goes full on absurdist, especially in that third act, Bill and Hal. And I thought that the film was good. I didn't think it was amazing. I really was expecting a little bit more, but I think it's just those blending of genres can kind of butt heads sometimes. And I think comedy and horror are some of the hardest things to do. So it can kind of be even more like overshadowed when it doesn't necessarily hit and you're trying to do both at the same time. But I still had a lot of fun with it. So I think the monkey truly does represent that. And I think Hal finally accepting that and keeping the monkey close to him really showcases that Hal has grown and he's trying to be better and he's more aware and just trying to enjoy life in the moments he has now. So overall, I thought the monkey was great. Let me know what you think about the monkey, what the monkey represents and things like that, and what Hal's decision at the end to keep the monkey means to you. Because to me, it just meant that. I think Hal just really came full circle with who he is and everything that's happened in his life and accepting the monkey for what it is, and that it will always be around him no matter what he does, and all he can do is just keep it close, you know? So overall, great movie. I'm excited to see what Osgood does next. Apparently, there is a post-credit scene at the end of The Monkey that showcases the next film that Osgood Perkins is doing with Tatiana Maslany. I didn't stick around to see it, but that film is called Keeper, and I believe it should be coming out this year as well in October. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for that to see if they release a trailer for that pretty soon or not. But very excited to see what this movie will be like. It's being distributed by Neon as well. But comment below your thoughts and opinions on The Monkey. Follow us for more on things you love. Severance is tonight. We will be watching the episode recap after. Yellow Jackets tomorrow, The White Lotus on Sunday. So excited to talk more stuff with y'all. I'll see you next time. Follow us on our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, wherever you can. As always, stay safe, stay positive.